from California Insider, California Legislature passes bill to outlaw parental notification policies. And look at these misfits here. Absolutely despicable. They want complete control of everything, including the children, of course. And as far as I can tell, this basically means that if the teachers, who are largely owned and controlled by the political thugs, get into the brains, get into the minds of the children, and they can manipulate them, the parents will have no say, and they will be condemned for even questioning this radical agenda. And this has happened far too fast for my liking. Of course, I went to school in California, and there was nothing like this. And they call it the Safety Act. They're great at manipulating language. They also had the Equality Act and the CARES Act, and there's no such thing as an illegal immigrant anymore. He's undocumented, or these are asylum seekers, and you should take the naming seriously. But otherwise, we can laugh about the crimes that those people are committing.
That the migrant accused of raping a 13-year-old in New York City was supposed to be deported 2 years ago. But here's Joy Reid and Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal reacting to the coverage of migrant crime. Watch this.
Here's the three cable networks reporting of this. Was our banner said, soon Biden announces legal protections for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. CNN's banner said, Biden announces new protections for some undocumented spouses. Here was Fox's banner, migrant arrested for raping 13-year-old New York City.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of the problem, right?
Exactly.
Is that you have
That's
a lot
part
of
the
fear-mongering.
Exactly.
They laughed.
Meanwhile, if you question or make fun of the radical gender agenda, they will quite literally cry on television and try to turn you into a criminal.
Excuse me. My beautiful, now 22-year-old child told me last year that they were gender nonconforming. And over the last year, I have come to understand from a deeply personal mother's perspective. I've always been a civil rights activist. I've always fought for my constituents and my communities to have equal rights. But from a mother's perspective, I came to understand what their newfound freedom. It is the only way I can describe what has happened to my beautiful child.
But my name's Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
It would help me a lot, and it would cost you nothing. But if you wanted to help me even more and spend some money, you would buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description. But they say the California Assembly voted 61-16 along party lines on June 27th to pass legislation that bans policies that require parents to be notified if their children changes his or her gender identity at school. And I can't imagine this goes for anything else. You would notify the parents if little Timmy got an A on a test. You would notify the parents if little Timmy got into a fight on the basketball court. You would notify them about almost everything. But if they buy into our radical gender agenda, then you won't tell the parents. It'll just be our little secret. Assembly Bill 1955, the Support Academic Futures and Educators for Today's Youth, or Safety Act, will now go to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk, and he's probably going to sign it, and people are still talking about him stepping in for Bo Jiden, which I don't think is a good idea. In fact, if he gets anywhere near the levers of national power, there's got to be some extreme measures taken. But that aside, Assemblyman Chris Ward, Democrat from San Diego, who introduced AB 1955, said it's a priority bill for the California Legislative LGBTQ caucus. Even though you have cities all over the place, okay, maybe not all over the place, but at least two that I can think of immediately that are completely collapsing in Los Angeles and San Francisco. But somehow this is a little bit more important. If the governor signs it into law, the bill would prohibit school districts from enacting or enforcing any policy, rule, or administrative regulation requiring an employee or contractor to disclose any information related to a student's sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression to anyone without the child's consent. So, okay, the kid can do it. The kid can tell the parents it's okay to do it, or the kid can tell the teacher it's okay to do it, but the teacher can't call up the parents on the phone like they would in any other instance almost and say, oh, this is a little bit strange, because they're all on board with this. It is wild. Proponents of the legislation call parental notification policies such as those passed by Chino Valley Unified and Temecula Valley Unified school districts forced outing policies. Here we go again. They're always manipulating the language. There was a point in time when they were talking about forced birthers as well, meaning just pro-life people who are kind of the opinion that maybe you shouldn't eliminate the child just because you don't want it. So look, this is all absolutely crazy, but this is another piece in the puzzle of gaining control of everything and ushering in full communism. Oh, they're going to tax you by how many miles you drive, and they're going to charge electricity bills based on how much money you make. It's all absolutely insane. And while this is happening, while San Francisco is collapsing, while Los Angeles is collapsing, even though they're they built a million, trillion, billion dollar, whatever, housing structure for the homeless, which of course is a scam. And I highly doubt many people are going to be in there because they're junkies, unless they're going to let them use dope in the building, but that's a completely different story. So while this is happening and the cities are collapsing in San Francisco, they are illuminating the world's largest rainbow flag. So this is what they want. Look at this. Oh, wow, that's amazing, right? This is quite literally cult behavior. And this is what they're doing. So if they can push this on the kids before the parents have anything to say about it, well, the parents should not have anything to say about it because the parents shouldn't even know, because the kid would likely take the advice of the parent before the teacher. But who knows? In California, everything is quite literally backwards. And a little bit more about the LGBTQ, BBQ, CIA plus or whatever community from the Atlantic. New ominous signs for gay rights keep emerging. A growing faction supports rolling back the gains of the past quarter century. Okay, so I get it. The gains where you guys were able to get married or whatever you want. So you basically just want to have sex in a kiddie pool on the street. Otherwise, it's discrimination. What happens to a dream Here they go, painting a picture. What happens to a dream undone? For many Americans, doubt it, the progress of gay rights over the past quarter century was one of the country's greatest achievements. Again, highly questionable. Even as social change on other fronts stagnated or reversed, LGBTQ Americans gained new acceptance and protections. In 2002, Gallup found that just 38% of Americans believed that homosexual behavior was morally acceptable. Barely more than a decade later, in 2015, that number was 63%. That year, the Supreme Court granted same-sex couples the right to marry. This change was celebrated by its beneficiaries. And when you talk about marriage, of course, that's largely a religious thing. When people go to churches and get married by a pastor or whatever. I'm not married, so I don't quite know exactly what happens, but they don't like the church. So why do you even want to be married? You could, bank on the tax cuts or whatever, joint bank accounts, because you don't like the church, so I don't know why you would want to be married in one. You just want to infiltrate and destroy, but that is a little bit of a different story. This change was celebrated by its beneficiaries, of course, by progressives, but also more broadly. By 2022, 55% of Republicans supported same-sex marriage, according to Gallup, a huge leap from just 22% 10 years earlier. Now, alarm bells are ringing for same-sex marriage and LGBTQ rights, which means nothing. In general, a new Gallup poll shows that Republican approval of homosexual rights has dropped from 56 to 40% in 2 years. That support from same-sex marriage is down to less than half at 46%. Yeah, so you can't wonder why that's happening, is because you have pushed it on everybody, right? We just saw in California, they are forcing teachers to stay quiet about a kid who is buying into all the propaganda. So that might have something to do with why people are starting to object to this. And this whole thing about rights is just nonsense. Now, look, this is gobbledygook. It's perhaps not even worth reading all of it. But I highly doubt that they are going to even explain what LGBTQ rights are. You already talked about marriage. What is it? What else is there? You quite literally just want to, do dirty things in the street, which if that's what you want to do, go to San Francisco and leave the kids out of it. And last little bit here from CBS News. And this is in addition to the video I posted a couple days ago about like the drag queens in cow outfits saying that people should quite literally get violent in the street because the rights are being rolled back.
We've made so much progress over time, and now we're seeing that progress rolled back with 600 pieces of anti-LGBTQIA plus legislation that have been introduced, Black trans women being murdered. Pride is a riot and it is a protest, and I encourage you to get on those streets and riot, and don't be scared to do it.
And there's a cute little infographic from ABC or NBC News about how the states are rolling back rights. Of course, they will never tell you what those rights are. Is it anything outside of marriage? I truly do not know, except for that they want the right to literally do anything. There's that old Family Guy clip, right, of the transformer at a bar just doing whatever he wants.
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
It's also kind of weird that Seth MacFarlane is a weirdo Hollywood far lefty who even has been called out by Bill Maher, but the jokes are still funny. That's a completely different story. Major brands scaled back Pride Month campaigns in 2024. Here's why that matters. Oh, could they tell that certain people didn't like it and they were losing money hand over fist? Or is the agenda more pressing than the money? 55 years after a raid on New York's... Oh, here we go. They're going to tell you the history about Stonewall. Just get over it. They can't do anything. And look, I'm not saying we erase history. That's what they're always claiming. Oh, in Florida, they're not going to teach black history. I'm not suggesting that, but it's like you guys clearly live in the past. And it's absolutely despicable. They live in the past on some things, but they don't want to remember when the majority of the Democratic Party was for, safe borders.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders. The fence is now basically complete. Maybe they'll need a moat. Maybe they want alligators in the moat.
Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places.
We will not build a wall. Instead, we will build an economy where everyone who wants a good job can get one.
I voted for a fence. I voted, unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it, I voted for 700-mile fence. And let me tell you something, folks. People are driving across that border with tons, hear me, tons of everything from byproducts from methamphetamine to cocaine to heroin. It's all coming up through corrupt Mexico.
And the impulse is to hunker down, shut the gates, build walls, exit at this moment is precisely the wrong answer.
Former presidents have said to him that they wish that they had built a wall. Do you recall President Obama ever saying that?
Come on.
Construction of a 630-mile border fence create a significant barrier to illegal immigration on our southern land border. All along, the president's saying, well, I'll do DACA and Dreamers in return for the wall. He's got it. President Trump, if you want to open the government, you must abandon the wall.
And now, of course, Bo Biden has gotten the memo that he needs to get a little tougher on the border, so he's going to pretend to do that, but it's too late. Again, I digress. Corporations have cashed in on the festivities, especially the U.S. since the okay, whatever. So here's the thing, though. Even the gays, I would bet that they can see right through the clear corporatism. But I mean, any of them who are, I should say, you people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Huh?
But if they have two brain cells to rub together, which is debatable, they could still see through this clear propaganda that these corporations do not care. But I guess they still buy into it, and they go out there and march alongside a Pride Lockheed Martin truck or whatever. Last year's conservative backlash. Corporate pride entered mainstream conversations last summer as a flashpoint in the political... Look, they want to put this stupid... in the political debate over LGBTQ rights, and specifically rights for trans... See, and there you go. Rights. What rights? The rights for a delusional little boy or a little girl to use the opposite restroom? Is that what we're calling a right now? So look, you can call it back. Here it is. Yeah. It wasn't because they're just mad at the gays. It's obviously because you were pumping little kids full of this stuff, tuck-friendly bathing suits. And in California, they're even saying that the parents don't have a right to know about the children who have bought into that nonsense. And look, this article is once again filled with nonsense, and it's titled Why That Matters. Okay, so why it matters is because your agenda is taking a hit because the corporations who clearly want to make money at this point in time realized that that wasn't going to do it for them. So look, profit margins aside and weirdo corporate pride agenda, they're going to criminalize teachers who dare step out of the realm of the weirdo agenda-driven propagandists, while in the state of California, they have corrupt politicians all over the place. And it's not just California. It's happening from coast to coast, and I'm sure there are loads of politicians in the middle of the country who are corrupt, but just fly under the radar, maybe because they don't get as brazen as, say, somebody in Illinois or California or New York. But you are far more likely, of course, to be deemed a criminal if you don't bow to the agenda than if you literally steal money from tax-paying citizens all over the place.